shortly introduce the concept of the 2000 watt society. The 2000 watt society is actually a global concept. On a global average, every person needs about 18,000 kilowatt hours per year, which corresponds to the continuous requirement of 2000 watts. Unfortunately, the distribution is very unequal over the world. You see that in Europe we right now have consume about 6,000 watts, whereas in the US it is almost double. In the emerging countries, in the emerging economies of China and India, they even are below or around that point. And now the concept is that in the long run, the industrialized countries should reduce their energy consumption to allow for some economic development also in the emerging economies. That will look or should look in the future then like that. Here is the picture for Switzerland. We are now at this 6,000 watt per person. Interestingly enough, in 1960, at that year I was actually 10 years old, so I enjoyed my youth actually. Had quite a good quality of life in Switzerland also at that time. And we were actually at that time in Switzerland a 2000 watt society. So I think it will be a good life also in the future, within another generation, when we aim in 2050 for a 50% percent reduction of fossil energy to 2000 watt. And in the long run, that should go even further, that total energy will be 2000 watt and about 1 ton of greenhouse gas emissions per year for each person. You know, in Switzerland we are used with steep, we are trained with steep trips, steep upside and also steep downhill. And now we have to prepare for the descent during the coming generation. The vision of the 2000 watt society was actually developed at the Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich. In 2001, the agency Atlantis was founded to disseminate the idea in Switzerland and abroad. Actually, they are still doing that work, but in the last year actually they started also a competence center with the federal program for energy cities. That is a sign that actually the 2000 watt society has also left science and has arrived in the political arena as a political program. For us in Zurich, it was most important that in 2008 there was this vote on the city constitution where the people approved with a 3/4 majority that there in the city constitution that the 2000 watt society should be reached in 2050. Actually, in many fields the technologies are available. Although in for changing the energy use. You see here the building field, the transportation systems, also in food, in waste management, as well as in infrastructure. We just have to go ahead and go to the other direction. The solutions are there. We just have to do it. To disseminate an idea, you need also networks. Here you see one example how the 2000 Watt Society is brought among the people. This is the International Sustainable Campus Network. Actually, there is also Harvard University is also a member in this network. The city of Zurich has several fields of action. In particular, it is responsible for energy supply. We have our own utility actually. Then for urban transportation, enforcement of the state energy legislation. For the city building guidelines, which go beyond the energy, beyond what is required with the energy regulation. Then we are working on CO2 neutral neighborhoods, and we have also a program for private investors to get information and incentives for retrofitting their buildings. Another network where the 2000 Watt Society is disseminated is energy cities. This is actually a program which was developed in Switzerland and works now also at the European level with the European Energy Award. It's a rating actually for the energy policy of cities for best practice. It includes a variety of fields like urban planning, spatial planning, like municipal buildings, supply and disposal, transportation, then also the organization of the city administration regarding the energy aspects, and also communication and cooperation with other cities and stakeholders. As it is rated actually in a percentage scale, you can see we are doing well in most fields except for my specialty. Municipal buildings are not in that good shape. Problem is that it will take a generation actually to do all the retrofitting of our couple of thousand buildings the city owns over. So my colleagues which follow me, they will also have still some work to do. Overall, you need actually 50% to get a positive rating in the European Energy Award. With 75%, you are even in the gold, you get the gold medal, and Zurich is there, fortunately. Now I want to give you just a few examples what we are doing in Zurich right now towards the 2000 Watt Society. We are aiming at efficient energy supply, which is low on CO2. There is, for example, this improvement of the district heating system, where we just built a biomass power plant in addition to the heat which is coming from the waste. The local utility is also investing in wind power, partly in Switzerland, although we also try to save some part of our landscape. And they're also investing abroad in Germany, for example. Transportation is also a key factor for the 2000 watt society. We need not only improved car technologies, public transportation, car sharing and network management are also important contributions. The city of Zurich has a model split of 60% public transportation, which is very high also in the European context. 45% of households don't have a private car. I think here in Cambridge there are also many people who don't own a car, which is even more special in the United States, I guess. One special feature is this car sharing organization, which is called Mobility. They have 100,000 users in Switzerland and a couple of thousand cars spread out all over the country. In Zurich there are 400 cars located and you can make reservations over the internet. The system, the locations are also very much connected to the public transportation. Coming back to the buildings, we had already this workshop this afternoon. An important instrument to get efficient buildings, to measure them, to get to best practice are building labels. Here we rely on the Minergie and Minergie Eco label. Minergie stands for energy efficiency and also comfort, like good fresh air. And the Eco part stays for health aspects, like daylighting, good daylighting, noise protection and low indoor air pollution. For building materials, we have to check for resources, like for example recycling concrete, for low environmental impact of materials, with the low embodied energy of the building materials, and also important at the end of the life cycle, simple ways of this construction of the building. Here you see the different levels of Minergie compared to the existing building stock, which still has quite high energy use. We say about 18 liters of oil equivalent per square meter. Minergie retrofit is about at 6 liters, and for new houses it's about 4 liters. The building regulation has been improved quite a bit, so Minergie, the basic standard, is actually not very far away from the present building regulation. So that's why we are moving now towards a 3 liter house with Minergie P. It's like the German passive house standard. And there is even a new standard which was launched actually only in February this year, and that aims for a near zero energy building. This is called Minergie A. Some examples of buildings. This is actually a new building of a cooperative housing society. This building is built to the requirements of the 2000 watt society. Retrofitting, that remains actually a very big challenge. You see here a building complex which is now partly retrofitted, and after retrofitting it will look exactly the same because we use, after all, interior insulation. But that's not not the case in all the buildings, of course, so you have to find solutions for each building. Well, I think we have many ideas about energy efficiency, which I showed you in buildings and in transportation, many technical solutions. But I think for the 2000 watt society that will not be all enough. I think we also have to, smarter living also includes some sufficiency measures and thinking how we can lead a good life. Thank you.